Hey everyone. Um, I hope everyone's having a great week. I know it's been a while since I've done a video for all three or four of you that watch them, including my wife. Appreciate you. Um, you know, I never intended, I guess, I don't intend for these videos to go, mainstream or anything. It's really more, I don't know, just to talk. But anyway, welcome back. Weather out here has been wild. I mean, tons of rain, not a lot of sunshine. Today's a pretty decent day, but we're completely surrounded by clouds. So it's just feels different. I don't know, something in the air. But forecasting a pretty good week next week. Um, Seems like it's going to be pretty decent. So get a lot of sunshine, and then I'll probably complain that it's too hot. So can't make us happy, I guess. But I just wanted to come on here and real quick and just pop in and just say hello, remind everyone that I'm here. June is oh, actually, let me start with, we were recently blessed with a great time with friends and family up here visiting us in the past few weeks. And I had my mother-in-law up here, one of my sister-in-laws and nieces and nephews, and one of my really good friends from my childhood and his daughter were up here visiting for a while. So we've been just really busy, honestly, back to back. Folks up here, visiting with us and stuff. So it was exhausting but very rewarding. It really just kind of replenished our depleted family time energy bar that we have, our internal family charge. So it was really nice to have some friends and family up here and just getting to experience where we live for the very first time, and seeing the look on their face of how much they enjoyed being up here. It's just a blessing in itself, because many folks don't get an opportunity to travel, let alone live away from home, particularly out of state, in a completely new environment. And being out here in Fort Collins, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better place. It's a more, I mean, it's a city, but very much small town vibes, but also has a lot of the perks and benefits of a bigger city environment, without the kind of the hustle and bustle energy and feel. So it's been really nice to be around all this green and just really kind of decompress. I think that growing up where I did, you're always felt a need to be on high alert all the time. You're always expecting something to happen. And Tucson's not terrible. I mean, I love Tucson. It's home. It's always going to be home. But when you experience something outside of that and you kind of realize, oh, wow, there's like better place, like that doesn't have to be normal. It's nice. I grew up always being aware of my surroundings, who's looking at what, who's looking at who, where you're walking, who's looking, what are you wearing, who do you know, who knows you. You're always trying to avoid a situation or a confrontation. And when you go to a place where nobody knows you, you can kind of be your actual self, and that is a good feeling. To be who you actually are, as opposed to who you feel you need to be because of your surroundings, and the people that you're around. So it's really nice. I'm going on like a year and a half, maybe. Yeah, about a year and a half without drinking. So that's been kind of nice. It's kind of really cleared me up. Now, I didn't drink. Like, I'm not an alcoholic or anything. I'm sure that's what alcoholics say, right? I'm not an alcoholic. No, but really, I mean, I was a social drinker, but I think I drank more and partied because I felt a need to be relevant and be in people's lives and to be the entertainer. And towards the end of that life for me, I really started to pull back and really kind of view it from a different set of eyes. And it's just not fun for me anymore. Honestly, I don't think it ever was fun for me. I think it's just what's expected sometimes. People expect you to be a certain way, and they expect you to be the center of attention and to kind of get the party going, or to try this or try that, or drink that or drink that. People gravitate towards you for that reason, and it feels good, until the next day when you're hungover as hell. But it goes beyond that. There's something else deep down that causes you to want to pursue that life. And it could be a lot of different things. I'm not here to diagnose anybody, but really only just to speak about my experience. Yeah, we have those guys here too. I guess they're everywhere. The motorcycle guys, or the people with the loud exhausts. But anyway, it's, for me, it really stems from a childhood of always trying to fit in, or feeling the need to be a certain way so that you can get some attention, even if it's not the best form of attention. And growing up, I've kind of learned and realized that about myself. And I don't want to say it's not boring. I don't feel like my life is boring, but it is a lot calmer. I'm not who I used to be, and I think that's the whole point about growing older. Yes, live your life to the fullest. I mean, do what's gonna make you happy, absolutely, 100%. But do it genuinely. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, if genuinely deep down inside that's who you are, who you want to be, then by all means continue to pursue that. But if that's not who you are, if you're really an introvert, I want to read a book, I want to stay in, then be that. Be you. Don't. The whole, for me, the whole point of being privileged enough, excuse me, being privileged enough to grow older is to learn and adapt and not just survive. Many of us have just been surviving, and it's a terror. Like, you get so used to it that you're constantly in survival mode, and it ages you, and your health is poor, and there's just a lot of things that come with being constantly in survival mode. And I'm learning to try and let go. It's not easy to do when you spend your whole life in that mindset. And I struggle with it to this day. So I encourage you, challenge yourself to be yourself. Like, genuinely be yourself, and not care about how forcing other people's portrayal of you, or how they expect you to be, including your parents and family. I mean, and through this process, you're going to lose people. And that's the point. Because those are the same people that are encouraging you, are pushing you and encouraging you to not grow, and to not learn, and to not adapt to a new, better life for yourself and your family, your immediate family, kids, spouse, partners, all that good stuff. So misery loves company. We all know that. We've heard that before. But it's true. People don't want to be alone. We're social beings. We love being around others. And we're always trying to find ways to fit in. Think about every movie that you've seen about social environments like high schools and, colleges and sports and all these movies. It's all, if you really kind of pick it apart, it's people trying to fit in, doing dumb crap, realizing later that it didn't really benefit them to the fullest extent of who they are. And then the movie then transitions to the person then realizing that and then pursuing being themselves. It's like, probably a classic example is Can't Buy Me Love, right? Like, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's a good movie. Can't Buy Me Love is a perfect example of that. And I feel like a lot of people can identify with that. Whether you were popular or you weren't, I still, it really handles both sides of that spectrum. Someone who's popular, who has trouble being themselves, and somebody who isn't, who's having trouble being accepting themselves. So it really works on both sides of the spectrum. So I encourage people to watch that movie. It's a good movie. But that's my little spiel when it comes to that. But to kind of transition into something a little deeper, a little personal for me. June's a rough month for me. 2017, I lost my dad. He had cancer. He went to the hospital. He wasn't feeling well. He went to the hospital. They found that he had some sort of growth on his cerebellum on the back of his neck, and they told him that they can operate on it, and he'd feel better or whatnot. Long story short, he didn't survive that procedure, and he passed away at St. Mary's Hospital in Tucson. And there's a lot of variables and a lot of things that happened that maybe shouldn't have happened, that maybe could have changed the course of his life and ours, but it happened, and my dad passed away. And we suddenly had to deal with the fact that he wasn't going to be around anymore. So the difficult part about that whole situation is that it was a big surprise. The thing about with Father's Day approaching tomorrow, it's hard to talk about, because even though this happened in 2017 and you fast forward to 2023, it's like 6 years later, and it's still difficult. You don't move past it, and I don't think you ever really do. But with Father's Day approaching, you can only you're kind of forced to think about father moments, and being grateful or understanding how the absence or the presence of a father really affected your life. And I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, my dad was in and out of prison, a couple times here and there, but it always seemed to fall on the higher developmental times of our lives, my siblings and I. And we all have different relationship with him, and we all have different experiences. We all have a different perception of the reality that we lived with him through. My dad maybe wasn't the best husband, the best boyfriend, and many times he wasn't the best father. but he was a good person. Like, he had a good heart. And as selfish as many of his, and I'm not making him sound too good here, but he really was, as selfish as maybe some of his decisions were, at the end of the day, I know that we all loved him in our own way. And he was a special person to many. And I think what really steered him off was this constant need to be accepted. And although he was at face value, he himself had created situations in his life where he was forced to constantly be in that survival mode. And that's kind of what we all absorbed and what we've all been doing. You know, my dad was a womanizer. Let's just be realistic. If anybody knows him, that guy he had a charm, that he just had a gift and a curse at the same time. And it was, he couldn't be satisfied. And he made sure to integrate that side of himself onto his kids. And what I mean by that is, growing up with him, he constantly encouraged us to be like him in that sense. And what I learned from that, fast forward and making all of the mistakes that I have in my life and in relationships, is instead of him encouraging us to be better than him, he wanted us to be like him. And that made him feel good, as opposed to encouraging us to be better. And I think later on in life, he realized that was wrong, and he tried to fix that. But the damage was kind of already done. It was like little things like, oh, did you do this with her? Did you do that with her? Or, you can't just have one, or, going with him to different places, and, he'd be with, this woman that day, that woman that day, and it was just like, again, like, my intention isn't to make him sound like a terrible person, because he really wasn't. I love my dad to death. He was like, we really just looked up to him in the sense of how people respected him or feared him even. And that was another part of it, is we kind of misconstrued that. We took fear as respect, because my dad was a big man, a big, strong man, and he didn't allow people to disrespect him. And I mean, call it what you want, toxic masculinity or whatnot, it worked for him, and we saw that. And my brothers and I, my sisters and I mean, we don't, I think that's probably a good thing, is we just don't let people run over on us. And it can sound really stubborn and mean, but it's not. We live in a rough world, and to have skin that thick it's not easy to come by. Some are more sensitive than others. I'm a pretty sensitive person now. I think I've always been, but it's hard to share feelings when you have this type of thick skin or whatnot. It's hard to let people in, because you fear portraying yourself as weak, and you don't want people to view to perceive that feeling exchange as a weakness. And the times in my life that I've allowed that, I've been burned, and it's a reminder to me to not let people in. But what it also does is it doesn't allow you to actually connect with the people that won't do that to you, that do genuinely want to love you and be around you, and that can ruin potentially really great relationships. So, it's one of those things that we have to try and be mindful of. I'm not saying, go and just start talking to strangers and telling them how you feel about everything in the world, but I mean, I encourage you to, at least with your partner or a close friend, and maybe you've already done this or not, but let it out. And I say this from a personal point of view. I have the hardest time crying, something that people can do on demand. I always find the urge to keep myself from crying, and then if I do let out a little bit, it has to be when I'm in the shower, because then I don't notice them. Like, isn't that sad? Like, it's terrible, but that's me, and I don't want that for others, and I don't want that for my kids. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge what this world is and where we are, and how, and unfortunately how it is. But there are good people, and a lot of times those good people are complete strangers. I have made it a goal in my life to add a little sparkle onto every person that I meet, and to give them a genuine idea of who I really am, and to encourage them to grow and learn, and I don't mind being the fertilizer for people. And people will complain because you smell like shit, you know what I mean? But not realizing that you're the best thing for them. You have all of the vitamins and nutrients that is going to enable them to grow into, a big, tall, strong tree. I don't mind being the fertilizer. The fertilizer, nobody respects the fertilizer. Nobody remembers the fertilizer. Once you're a big tall tree and your fruit is the best possible fruit in the orchard or whatever, or the garden or the farm, nobody really respects the fertilizer. Nobody remembers that. And that's fine. That's fine with me. It genuinely is okay with me, because it feeds my soul, and through that I'm happy seeing people move on to bigger and better things and be successful in their life. I love to see people that maybe I don't talk to anymore flourish, and I was a part of their life at one point that led to the change, or the trajectory, kind of moved over just slightly so that they had a clearer path. Like, I'm all for that. Like, all day. And I hope that the day that I'm laid to rest, that people dig deep and acknowledge that I was the fertilizer. I think that people forget that God is our fertilizer. We forget that He is our fertilizer, and sometimes we don't acknowledge that He is constantly planting us in places and fertilizing us in those areas of our life so that we can grow and learn and adapt and change and be prosperous and just enjoy what He's provided for us. We forget that because life is so busy and it's so just crazy. There's always stuff happening, there's always this coming and that going, and there's just so much that we forget to sit and be thankful for Him being present and being our fertilizer. And some of you might think, how could you refer to God as a fertilizer? Fertilizer's so gross, it stinks, and it's like, well, yeah, sometimes it stinks, but it's necessary. It's necessary, for us to develop. It's a reminder, like, hey, I'm here. You smell that? You smell that? Like, I'm here. And I'm helping, and I'm doing my part. I need you to do your part. I need you to root. I need you to absorb what I'm putting into you, and I need you to grow, and I need you to flourish. Please do that. I'm giving you everything that you need to be great. I need you to open your mind to it, plant your roots, and flourish. And that smell is a reminder. That smell is a reminder that He is present. And you could be that smell for someone else. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, wow, Chris is the only guy that can make shit smell and turn it into this, right? But really look at it for what it is. Sometimes we're in shitty situations, but God doesn't leave our side. Sometimes our lion's den, sometimes our prison is a creation that we created ourselves and threw ourselves in, and then are like, oh my God, I'm in a prison, I'm in a lion's den. And what? If you stop and you slow down and you take a deep breath, you will be reminded that God never left. But if you don't make those choices and those decisions in your life, you're not going to understand what it feels like to suffer or to not have or to be absent of. And you're not going to grow and learn from that, so that when you are in a position to have all of those things in your life, then you'll be more appreciative. It's kind of like, growing up, your parents didn't want to get you something. They wanted you to earn it, right? It was like, oh, I'm not gonna buy you a car because you're not gonna treat it right. You're just gonna treat it like shit. But if you work hard, you could buy your own, and you're gonna take care of it. And by God, I mean, it's true. It's even for little things, like toys or video games or whatever it is. Like, you need to earn it. We understand that earning something. Push my phone. We understand that earning something provides more value. If God gave you everything at the snap of the fingers like a genie, would you really enjoy it as much? Maybe for a short time, but it feels better to earn something. Whether you have an image of yourself and how you want to look, and you work hard in the gym to achieve that. You can save your money, go to a doctor, and cross your fingers and hope that it comes out the way you want, and that's the easy route. Or you can work out and be dedicated and eat the right things and do the right things, and then really look in the mirror and say, wow, I achieved this. I worked hard for this. I accomplished this with God's help and determination. But ultimately, you lifted the weight. You ate the salads. I don't know. I'm fat, so I've been in better health. It's definitely one of my goals this year. Is I'm hoping through this channel and releasing this energy that it's going to allow me free up my mind to really accept the fact that I need to focus a little bit harder on taking care of myself. But food, man, is just so good. But yeah, anyways, I digress. I love you all. I know this message was kind of all over the place. It's my first video back. And I really don't have a script for these videos. I really just come on here and say what's in my heart. Sometimes it's all over the place, but I hope there's something that you identify with and something that you can take in and absorb. God loves you, and I love you. I always have a couch, a floor, and a kitchen table. I will always have a meal. I will always have a place for you to stay or to rest your head. So if anybody out there feels lonely, feels like they need a change, give my wife and I a call, and we're happy to provide what we can. It's definitely something that we feel passionate about. So know that you're not alone. God loves you. God bless you. Take care. You're loved. Bye.